Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Illustrated Insights channel. My name is Jenny D, and here at Illustrated Insights, we're having a gratitude focus all month until the end of September. So in this video, I'm making an art journal page all about gratitude, and if you watch to the end of the video, you'll see some pages that have come in already for the challenge. If you'd like to join the challenge, I'll leave the link down in the description to the invitation video. All right, let's get started. I'm working in my A4 art journal today, and I'm going to use a page that I've just cleaned my brush out on before. It's got green paint, which is kind of what I want for the background. And I did actually remember to put in some baking paper today to protect the previous pages. If you've watched any of my videos before, you'll know that I've got a few methods of getting colour down onto the page. When I do this, I don't just get a quick base layer, which is great to then build on. It also helps me get my mood into the right mindset to switch into a creative mode. So in this method, I'm just using a few shades of green and some white. All I do is flick the paint across the page without ever washing my brush. And I try not to blend the colours together too much. I find this is the easiest way to add interest right from the start. Of course, I make sure I dry that layer really well, because when I do this next layer, I don't want to pick up any of the green paint. I'm a big believer in using what you have, so for this layer I'm just using some Kaiser colour in yellows and a little bit of a Matisse white, which is a nice opaque acrylic paint. When I created the canvas that uses this method, I was trying to loosely depict wattle blooms. Wattle is an Australian tree that produces these really cute little puffy yellow blossoms. And Australia's sports colours of green and gold are actually inspired by the wattle tree. To make these cute little abstract blossoms, I just pick up some of the yellow and some of the white, and I swirl my brush around on the surface of the page on top of that green layer to make little circles. And just like I did in the background, I don't wash my brush in between circles. If you want to try this, don't use a good brush. If you try this with one of your good brushes, you're probably going to end up wrecking it. You want a flat brush with nice stiff bristles. And I had a medium brush and a large brush. I filled the whole page, trying to be random about the placement of the circles. Random placement actually takes a little bit of thought. Once the page was full, I used my heat gun to dry that page off, and you can see on the right there I've got another journal open where I'm using any excess paint. So I actually get 2 pages for the price of 1 doing this. Next, I squeeze some Matisse acrylic paint onto my palette. This is a very opaque paint and will go over the other paint nicely. This page is all about how grateful I am to live in Australia. So I made an Australia-shaped stencil and mask. It's a little bit tricky to see here, but I put the mask down onto the page using a little bit of masking tape. So the next layer will actually be done around that mask. I built this layer using a finger sponge dot tool to create lots of smaller blossoms. Again, I fill the page pretty randomly, going over the top of the previous yellow circles layer and over the top of my mask. Speeding the video up here so you don't have to sit there and watch me make lots of little dots. Of course, any excess I had went onto that second page that I've been creating at the same time. I tried some white pan pastel through the stencil. The stencil's really clear, so it's really difficult to see here. But the pan pastel was just a bit too transparent for my liking. So I sprayed it with a fixative to make sure that it would stay put, and then I went to a transparent white acrylic paint. I usually use a stenciling or stippling brush with my stencils, but because this one had such a big open space, I took a sponge and I wiped the paint over the edge of the stencil to make sure that the edge wouldn't bleed underneath. One coat still didn't give me the look I was after, so I dried it off and I applied a second coat through the stencil. I wanted a clear shape of Australia and a nice light background to write over, but I still wanted a little bit of those bottom layers to show through. Okay, so Australia's looking pretty good now, and I want to add some wattle leaves. I thought I'd need to protect that shape of Australia, so I put the mask back down. And then using a pretty good quality of soft round brush and some sage acrylic paint, I painted in some branches of wattle leaves. This colour's pretty pale and soft because this is intended to be a background layer of the leaves. A darker colour green goes on top, and this time I felt like I didn't need the mask, so I just left it off while I was painting the branches. I didn't really have a plan for where these were going. I just kept painting until I felt like there was a really good balance. When that layer was dry, I decided I'd pick out the edges of the map of Australia with a gold Posca pen. But I felt like that wasn't standing out quite enough, so I did another trace around with a black Posca pen. And now it's time to journal. I don't normally worry too much about straight lines when I'm journaling, but I don't know, for this one I just really wanted straight lines. So I used a Creative Memories line stencil and put in some pretty faint lines with pencil. There are actually many reasons for me to be grateful that I was born in Australia. So I used a 0.4mm art-lined felt tip, and I jot down just a few of those reasons. This is by no means an exhaustive list, but hey, that gives me a reason to make another gratitude page. And now I'd like to invite you to our gratitude challenge, so you can make a gratitude page of your own. It doesn't have to be about why you're grateful to live in your country. It can be about anything you're grateful for at all. You don't have to use paints or inks. Just make a page in your style with the materials that you have. We'll be continuing this gratitude focus right till the end of September, and that's how long the challenge will run for. Now, just before I show you the pages that came in this week, I'd like to remind you, if you subscribe you won't miss any upcoming videos, and please leave us a like as that really helps the channel out. And here's this week's pages. We've got one from Georgia, who's my business partner at Illustrated Insights, and she chose to illustrate all the things she's grateful for as little doodles. Then we have one from Linda, who's a good friend of mine from Canada. Linda's done her page in mixed media, and she's used some of the techniques that I use, like journaling underneath. So well done, Linda and Georgia. If you do live in Australia and you're interested in that Australia stencil, the link for our Etsy shop is in the description. Okay crew, off you pop, go and make your own gratitude page and then upload it to our Facebook group. The link is of course in the description. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.